Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Now today we are at the Kampala Sight Seeing Bus. This is one of the best experiences you can have as a Ugandan or as a tourist coming to Uganda. I have this entire bus all to myself. The Kampala Sight Seeing Bus is the first of its kind in Uganda, and it's assured to give locals and visitors a unique road tour in Uganda to experience Kampala's top attractions with expert guides on the bus. The bus is scheduled to have 2 trips daily, and the first trip begins at 9 a.m. and the journey takes between 4 to 5 hours depending on the traffic on that particular day. The second trip starts at 2 p.m. and the bus will show you the city in a different way as you've never seen it before.
Mr. Msinguz, you're welcome to the Sightseeing Bus. My name is Twaha, and I'm going to take you around Kampala City, explaining to you about the history of Kampala, Uganda, Buganda, and everything you'll be able to see on the way.
It will take you to all Kampala's most visited places. It accommodates 64 travelers. However, even if it's one individual available with a reservation, you can get the tour. My journey began at Kampala Serena Hotel, and it goes through the most beautiful and best spots of Kampala, with my guide providing information and history about every spot. The bus provides the best way to view and film places around Kampala with limited restrictions, and some of the main attractions include the National Theatre, the Uganda Parliament, the streets of Kampala, local markets, Kabaka's Lake, Kabaka's Palace and the Royal Mile, Buganda clans, amongst other attractions.
The left-hand side is the post office Uganda, and if you're counting distance from Kampala to any other place, we are now at 0 kilometers. So this is one of the 7 hills that make up Kampala city, and this hill is known as Nakasero, from the word Akasero, which means a basket. So we are now driving to Entebbe Road. Entebbe Road is the road that connects Kampala to the former capital city of Uganda, which is Entebbe. You know, initially Entebbe was the capital city of this country, but because it couldn't expand, so they opted to shift the capital city from Entebbe to Kampala, which could easily expand. So now we join our hill number 2, and this hill number 2 is called Mengo. But the word is Mengo, which is Mengo Hill.
So we are in the tour bus, Kampala Sight Seeing Bus, and now we have reached the Kabaka's Lake. We're going to be taking a look at the history. We're going to take a look at quite a number of things.
Kayanja Kabaka, or the King's Lake, or the Kabaka's Lake. And this is the largest man-made lake in Uganda, probably the largest hand-dug lake on the African continent. So this lake is dug under the orders of Kabaka Mwanga II. Remember, we told you that he had a palace here in 1885, which is the Mengo Palace, but that palace got burnt. So he established another palace on Lake Victoria in a place called Munyonyo. So he wanted to connect these 2 palaces using a lake.
So where are we now? This is
so we're now at the King's Palace, Mengo Palace. This is where we expect to see the Twekobe, the building which is the official residence for the King of Buganda. And at the same time where we find the Idi Amin's torture chambers, the Idi Amin's cannon, and at the same time the remains of the king's cars that were destroyed when the palace was attacked.
We've reached the King's Palace, and we're going to be entering the King's Palace. Explore and see what's in the King's Palace, and the king is the Kabaka of Uganda. King of Uganda is called Kabaka. So that's where we're going, and we're going to have a tour. It's 5,000 shillings for a tour. Kabaka's Mengo Palace, also known as Twekobe, is the official residence of the King of Buganda. In Buganda, it was customary for a new king to choose a hill where he would build a new palace. This palace would become the new capital of the kingdom, and the king was free to name the place as he wishes. It was constructed by Ssekabaka Mwanga II in 1885 and is one of the most famous sites in the history of Buganda. In 1966, the then Prime Minister of Uganda, Milton Obote, ordered a dramatic attack to oust Kabaka Mutesa II by the forces of Idi Amin. Soldiers stormed the palace. After several days of fighting, Mutesa was forced to flee and live in exile in the UK. The building was duly converted into an army barracks, while the adjacent site became a notorious underground prison and torture execution chamber built by Idi Amin in the 1970s. On the grounds are also the scrap metal remains of Mutesa's Rolls Royce destroyed by Idi Amin. Many tourists enjoy the Kampala City Tour as they are most likely to engage in visiting the Kabaka's Palace and Idi Amin's torture chamber. From there we headed to the Royal Mile. Better walked than driven, the Royal Mile in Kampala, locally called the Kabaka Anjagala, meaning the King loves me, connects the King's Palace to Bulange, the parliament of the Kingdom of Buganda. And this area alone by far offers the best summary of the great Buganda Kingdom. Exactly a mile in length, mimicking the Royal Mile at Edinburgh, the Kabaka's Gate looks symmetrically into the main entrance of the parliament. In the middle is a roundabout with a sculptural arch in the form of a long drum, locally known as Engalabi. From there, we were headed to Rubaga Cathedral, Namirembe, and Old Kampala Hill before heading to Makerere and Kolo Hill. I have made awesome videos about some of these places, and I'll be leaving the links in the description of this video.
The word is Makerere, meaning it's already daybreak. And the university was started in 1922 as a technical college. Then in 1963 it became the Center for Education of East Africa. Then in 1970 it split into 3 universities. That is the University of Nairobi, the University of Dar es Salaam, and it remained as the independent university for the Republic of Uganda. This university, way back in 1960s, it was awarding certificates of the College of London. Yeah, and that's why, because it mainly it was affiliated to the College of London. We are the people that brought you the sightseeing buses in Uganda. We've been operating since December 2017 up to date. We do 2 rides a day. We always have a morning ride which starts at 9 and it goes for 3 or 4 hours. And then we also have a second ride which starts at 2 and it also goes for the same hours, 4 or 3 hours. We are always having 2 starting points. One of the starting points is Hotel Africana, that is at BMK House, Kampala Serena as our second starting point. It costs $40 for the non-East Africans, and then it costs 100,000 Uganda shillings for the East Africans. For the kids, it costs $25 for the non-East Africans, and then it costs 50,000 Uganda shillings for the East Africans. We have for the couple East Africans, which is 160,000 Uganda shillings, and all this comes up with a guide on board and also a bottle of water, which is like a refreshment. We give you the opportunity to go off the bus and visit some destinations. Let's say the King's Palace or the Gaddafi Mosque, the Uganda Museum, and some of the cathedrals. But that comes in at an extra cost. you need to subscribe to Mr. Msengo's YouTube channel. And at the same time, don't forget to follow him on Instagram.
Yeah, Mr. Msengo's
You know,
across all platforms.
You have to follow him, and don't forget to follow the bus,
Yeah,
the Kampala Sightseeing Bus.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bless you. See you in the next video. We're going to Kabale. Bye-bye.